Okay, all right, the amplitude here for this one will be 4. The difference with the period with this is going to be pi divided by the number in front, which will be 1, which will just be pi. Phase shift will be negative 5/4 pi. The vertical shift would be 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do to my angles, all right, now the angles that I'm going to be working with are 0, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and pi, okay? And so how I'm going to set those up is this is going to be the 0, 1, this will be the pi over 4, 1, this will be the pi over 2, 1, this will be the 3 pi over 4, okay, and this will be the pi 1. The values associated with that, we talked about that before, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 1, undefined, okay, negative 1, and 0. Okay, so what's going to happen to your angles here is you're going to subtract 5/4 pi, so that's going to be negative 5/4 pi, okay, 1/4 minus 5/4 is negative 1, okay, 1/2 minus 5/4 is negative 3/4, okay, 3/4 minus 5/4 is negative 1/2, okay, and then pi, or 1 minus 5/4 is negative 1/4. Okay, what's going to happen to my values here? It's going to be times 4, so that's going to be 0, 4, it stays undefined, negative 4, and 0. Okay, so I got a lot of negative pi's here, so I'm going to have to work this way. Negative pi over 2, negative pi, negative 3 pi over 2, negative 2 pi. Once again, my quarters are here. Okay, so at negative 5/4, so this will be negative 1, negative 3, negative 5. I'm going to be at 0. Okay, at negative 1 pi, I'm at 4. Whoops, here. Okay, at negative 3/4 pi, I'm going to be at undefined. At negative 1/2 pi, I'm going to be at negative 4. Negative 1/4 pi, I'm at 0. Okay. Now, what you have to do with this is you got to add another circle. So I got to add it the same height, and then backwards here at the same height. So what I got is this. Okay. All right. Then number 10. All right. What I'm going to do with number 10 is I'm going to divide these all. The angles are all going to be divided by 2. All right. Angles are going to be divided by 2. Values are going to get a plus 1. Okay. So if I divide 0 by 2, I would get 0. Okay. If I divide pi over 4 by 2, I get pi over 8. If I divide pi over 2, I get pi over 4. Okay. If I divide 3 pi over 4, I get 3 pi over 8. Okay. And then if I divide pi, I'll get pi over 2. Okay. With my values, all right, I'm going to add 1. So this value here, all right, would be 1. All right. Whoops. Let's erase this. So I get 1. All right. I add 1 to this, I get 2. This would still be undefined. If I add 1 to that, it would be 0. And if I add 1 to this, it would be 1. Okay? The amplitude here would be 1. The period would be pi divided by 2, which would be pi over 2. All right? There is no phase shift. Vertical shift is 1. Okay? So when I go to graph, I'm at 0. All right? I'm at 0, 0, 1. All right, I got pi over 2, I've got pi, I've got 3 pi over 2, I've got 2 pi. Okay, so what's going to happen here is 0, I'm going to be at 1, pi over 8, so I got it, here's my quarters. I should probably do that in red. Okay, here's my eighths. Okay, so it's 0 and 1, at pi over 2 I'm going to be at 2, pi over 8 I'm going to be at 2, so I'll be here. Okay, pi over 4 will be undefined.
Raul Jagdiani, if you're in the building,
Okay.
please come to the main
At
office.
3 pi
Raul
over 8, I'm going to
Jagdiani,
be
if
at
you're in the
0.
building, please come to the main office.
Okay, at pi over 2, I think that is, I'm going to be at 1. Okay, now, I got to create that extra dot, which would be here, and it would be here. Okay, and then that's going to be, okay, that would be that. Okay, that would be that. Okay, in the interest of time, I know these videos are running really long. Let me just fill in what you would do here on these, okay, and then you can graph them yourself. On this one, what I'd have to do is I'd have to take the 2 out. So I would have 2x minus pi over 2 plus 2, so I divide each one by that. My amplitude would be 3. My period would be pi divided by 2, or pi over 2. The phase shift is also pi over 2, and the vertical shift is 2. For your angles, what you would do is you would divide by 2, and then you would add pi over 2. For your values, you would do times 3, and then plus 2. Okay? All right? And then my amplitude for this one would be 1. The period would be pi over 1, which would just be pi. All right? My phase shift would be negative pi over 2, and this would be my vertical shift. What I'm going to do to the angles is I'm just going to subtract pi over 2, and what I'm going to do to the values is I'm just going to subtract 3. So apply the same information in the same graph. I think that's it. Okay? The big thing is you got to go back to that and figure out those things. Okay? And just practice those other ones, you should be fine.